Hello, it's Maggie. I'm doing a chart on Mother Teresa today. I just wanted to do it Mother's Day, but I was unable to. So this is not everyone has an accurate birth time on her. She was born in Serbia. I can't pronounce the name of the place she was born. Skopje or something, which is now Serbia. Sun sign is Virgo. She was born on August 27th, 1910, and they just have a universal time of 11 because she gave her date of birth the day she was baptized or began to work and became a nun, was baptized. So somebody word of mouth heard her birth time, so we're not quite sure. So I'm doing Astrodeeds. And so she has the Sun and Mars both in Virgo. So she would be working in a health field, which she did. Health and service. Virgo is also service, attention to detail. So she was in her 6th house of work and health. So she worked very, very hard with Mars there. It gave her drive and ambition. I wish I had her ascendant, but some say she had Scorpio ascendant. Her work was definitely Scorpionic. So she has Pisces. I wouldn't be surprised. She has Pisces in the 12th house and Aries in the 1st house, according to this chart. So, could be Pisces ascendant. Anyway, they're not showing her ascendant because the birth time's not all that accurate. But she had the fire of Aries, the 1st house, to work as hard as she did. Even with heart attacks towards the end, she was still working, going back and working her life's work. The Pisces in the 12th house, very near her ascendant, if that could in fact be her ascendant, would be a life of service as well. That's the higher octave of Pisces, is service. And Neptune, her ruler of Pisces, is in a water sign, Cancer, in the 4th house of the home. And so she used the higher octave of Neptune to find a home for the unlovable, the lower caste, the untouchables in India that were dying on the streets of leprosy. Nobody would touch them or love them or care for them. And they just let them die on the streets because they were untouchables. And so pretty much she was the only one who cared for them. And she tried to help them, die with dignity and peace. And she had Jupiter, which is the planet of good fortune and good luck. It's very beneficial. She had that in Libra, in her 7th house of partnerships and relationships. And Mercury's there as well. So she was fortunate enough to have a government official who saw what she was doing and actually helped her. He gave her a building to work out of rather than the streets. He actually gave her a wonderful building to work out of. And it became like the first hospice in India on the streets of Calcutta. So these people, these untouchables of the lowest caste, dying, were able to die with dignity. Someone even holding their hand, nursing their wounds. So she had the 8th house of Scorpio, which is Pluto rules Scorpio along with Mars, and that's maybe death and dying and working in it's an industry. It's not an industry, but working with death and dying. and transforming lives. She transformed people's lives by being there um, in their darkest times. Very transformative through her hard work. And you know, the Mars in Sun and Virgo, you know, nursing them back to health as best she could, or helping them to transition. Scorpio in the 8th house would be transitioning to the higher plane, helping them to pass on with dignity, which is what she did. So she has Capricorn on the midheaven and Uranus there. So that's what she put in her 10th house. That she made a mark in the world, a very unusual mark. And was really, well, she became blessed, and then she became a saint later, years later after her death. She won a Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, for her work. She had Saturn in Taurus, in the North Node in Taurus, so in her 2nd house. So I think she was conflicted, and later she wrote about this, of how she thought she had lost her faith towards the end of her years. And she was probably just being tested, but part of her having that Saturn in Taurus and the North Node in Taurus is what she had to give up to do this really hard work in the streets of dirty Calcutta, India. You know, so she gave up the comforts of living in a convent in her hometown, you know, which would have been a lot more comfortable than the life she lived. So she had enormous sacrifice of service, living this very, very hard life. She has Pluto in Gemini. Well, actually, Pluto is in Cancer. So Pluto deals with death and dying. So it's kind of on the cusp between Gemini and Cancer. So she brought it to the attention of the world through her actions, working with them and communicating. Just, you know, started an order. Actually, people, you know, women just started working with her to help her, and later it became an order of nuns, the Sisters of Charity, Sisters of Mercy, I think, Sisters of Charity. And so Pluto, Cancer, and Neptune would be selfless acts of service to the dying, and communicating about it, which is what she did. And Neptune is the highest octave of service that you can have. It rules Pisces, and so that was her. It wasn't maybe her chosen profession, but that's what she ended up choosing, this hard, difficult life path of service to the dying. When she could have had her comfortable life in the convent in her hometown, which I'm sure she missed enormously. She has Venus in Leo in the 5th house. And Leo rules the heart. So she had enormous compassion. And she later had heart problems from all the hard work she did. But still she would go back and do this work. So she had only one planet in fire, and that was Venus in Leo, to bring heart to the world. Through her love, she showed enormous universal love, and she brought that to the world. And Leo rules the heart. Yeah, so she brought that. In air, she had a lot in air. She had Mercury and Jupiter, which helped her to communicate. Jupiter brought her enormous good fortune, finding communicating with just good fortune coming to her through relationships. Like finding that building to work out of, starting the first hospice with government help, women coming off the streets just to help her before she even started an order that became, the Sisters of Charity that are worldwide now. So her air. She also had Moon and Pluto in air. Moon and Pluto in air, which were in Gemini, and that was again compassionate communication about the plight of the death. Pluto rules, death, dying, transformation. These weren't really things that were talked about in India, especially in India and Calcutta. They were just brushed aside as untouchables, and she brought it to light. And she talked about it, and she transformed it, and just brought it to the world attention. Through her compassion. The moon would be her compassion. Communication about this dire situation, and her initiative to do something about it. That's her first house, Aries. If that is in fact her first house, if that's in her ascendant, but the life of service would be Pisces in the 12th house, which the ruler, as I talked about, was in Cancer, in the home. Cancer in the home. So she had a life of service, creating a home for the dying, which God bless her for that. And she was later recognized and given the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, enough of Mother Teresa. I don't know why. Why I'm getting all misty about this, but for some reason I must be Neptune. I think I've covered the main things that, on her midheaven. She has Uranus and Capricorn, so she put her mark on the world through this work. Her elements, she had a lot of earth, a lot of practicality. She had Uranus, Saturn, the North Node, which was in Taurus, making her very persistent, stubborn, hard worker. She had Saturn there, so it just gave her a very, very hard life. And where your second house is, that's what you value. So, she didn't really have the comforts of home. Saturn gave her a very difficult, tough life. And the North Node there, that's what she lived out. Although a part of her, I'm sure missed, the comforts of the convent and home. But she enormous sacrifice to do this work and had to leave her homeland. And her faith was tested in her later years. She felt like she lost her faith, and that can be common for some saints, I think. She wrote about it. Let's see. So in water, she had, the higher octave of Neptune trying to find a home for the homeless, dying homeless, dying of leprosy, and God knows all kinds of awful diseases, and bringing dignity to the dying. So God bless Mother Teresa, and she was truly a great woman. All right, thank you for listening.